All right, in this training today, we are going to teach you about how we take a busy PT doing 60 hours worth of sessions a week and how we condense it into a 3 to 4 hour workday.
On the gym floor, at least.
On the gym floor. And yeah, for most PTs, they are doing those busy split shifts, trading their time for money. They're flat out. Yes, they might have breaks in the day, but they know it ends up incredibly inefficient, the use of their time.
Yeah, and if they're doing one-on-one sessions, it's just literally all manual labor, essentially. You're trading all of that time for money. And if we can condense that to create time in your schedule so that you've got time to actually turn the business into an income-producing asset rather than trading your time for money forever, then that's a win, because then you can start to build the thing.
Yeah.
How we do that, we use the semi-private model, which I don't have as much of a background in the PT industry, obviously, as you do. You've done it, and you've done it very well, and you've taught a lot, probably hundreds of people how to do that, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to know, like, in the world of PT, is it something that most trainers know about or have seen people run in the past, or is it something that's still, even after being around for quite a while, is it something that's still generally not really known about?
I think it's known. I just think that the way people understand it is just so different. I think people bastardize the whole idea of semi-private, especially the way that I know it. Look, I was lucky to kind of be exposed to this around 2007, 2008. I actually owned a personal training studio. We had 250 clients, of which more than 80% of them were on semi-private. And to me, when I learned it, it was just such a no-brainer. I think, you start out, you want to get busy one-on-one because
you need to build the skill.
You need to build the skill, which it makes sense. Be premium, be one-on-one, be high level. And you get a lot of experience in the trenches doing that. And then naturally, you realize that you bottleneck with time.
Yes.
So I think a lot of PTs have kind of seen or heard, but I think what they do by bastardizing it is either they make it like group, so that it's a small group. It's a small group training model.
So when you say bastardize, you mean like doing it in a low value way?
They'll charge cheap for it.
Yep.
They'll basically be doing a small group training model with and sometimes the gyms will only allow you up to 4 people. So they'll do it as a small group training. They'll charge like $99 a week. They'll also even do it as like pay per session. So it's like, if you do 2 sessions at $66, or the stupid stuff like you've got an hour and depending on how many people, you might only make $100. So every person will get, say, $25
Split it between the people,
depending on if they think, if I'm grouping people. No, that's group training. That's not semi-private. So maybe even just defining it quickly is important.
Big time.
The way I view semi-private is you're taking the best of one-on-one, i.e. it was literally, if I'm writing you a program, I'm designing you a program. It's individualized, it's tailored. You guys know how to do that, right? You've done that already. It's just, how do you take the best of that and share your time with, I say a sweet spot's 3. I think you do a high level. You can do 4 people in that one session, but they're sharing your time.
Yep.
So you've got to, one, you're leveraging your time. The other part is you're leveraging your time by systems, and we're going to run through that in a sec.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, people having access to their training app and structures around how they book in.
Teaching them how to fish rather than fishing for them, in a way.
Yeah, empowering the client so that they're not coming at you going, how do I do this? Or
dude, it's so funny. Like, literally, I thought this in the gym today when I was in the gym this morning, and every time I go, there's coaches training their clients and stuff, and they're, like, rightfully so, they're doing a lot of stuff for their clients, like,
they're doing
taking
everything.
the weights off and like wiping down the bench and that sort of shit.
Walking around with their iPad and plugging in everything for them.
Yeah, and I'm like looking at them, I'm like, fuck, like I feel so sorry for those cunts. Like,
well, look, honestly, I'm not
helpless little fucking.
I'm not going to say a guy's name, but we train in a great gym, and there's this one guy who's really smart, really switched on guy, walking around with his iPad and the Excel spreadsheet and plugging everything in. Now, what's most annoying is when I used to have my clients, they come back and they go, what weight do I use again? I'm like, you should fucking know this.
Yeah.
Like, how do I squat again? That means that they are disempowered and they don't know what they're doing. And the whole point is...
You're not doing your job.
Yeah, well, one day you're not going to be there for them, right? Reality is 18 months, maybe 2 years, maybe you keep them for years, but you want people to come in. If you go on holiday, they know how to train, right? So that's my view of semi-private. It's leveraging your time. You're able to, and the other thing is you build such a great sense of, I think we've talked about this in previous trainings, community, which you don't get in one-on-one. It depends on their energy. They show up how you, and you go through the motions.
Really unique thing as well, when you've got community and you've got, like, you're teaching them how to fish for themselves. You're giving them their program, and you're running your business in a very unique way compared to just doing one-on-one sessions with every client. And like, they can compare that to any other coach because every coach does that. And once you start to switch to something where they've got more community, they've got better support and a higher caliber of training, they've got a personalized program, and you're actually empowering them to fish for themselves instead of fishing for them, they realize over time the value of that, and you are able to keep clients for so much longer.
Totally. And I want to just say one thing we were talking about on our coaching call the other day. I had a culture at the gym. Firstly, like, I'm busy. I'm running around. Like, the only thing I'm really cueing is whether it's a technique or I'm looking at their weight and increase. I'm the coaching part, right? But they know what they're doing in the session. I just have a culture where people are like, firstly, fuck, that guy's like busy. Like, he is like crushing it. He's got busy groups. They had this vibe. Like, some of the girls I trained, like they do like one girl did 12 chin-ups. They're like, fuck, because another girl was kind of more starting. Another one's kind of somewhere in the middle. One's really strong, and what I was saying to the trainers the other day, if you don't show up, someone's getting on text messages after, and they're going, where were you, Matt? And I encourage through group messages and texts, like, calling him a pussy. Like, seriously, I had a point where it's like, they were calling out people, you're like, where have you been? Like, your clients start from a community perspective, creating accountability on their own versus you always following people up, and there's no sense of the culture versus they just have the relationship with you. Whereas now they have the relationship with everyone else and they're training and there's this vibe. And
it's FOMO.
Yeah, 100%. If I'm training with a mate and we're training way fucking harder than if I'm just in my own little world training on myself and going through the motions one-on-one.
Yeah.
So I love it. Like 100% is what I build my whole business around. And there was a stage where I was doing close to 6-7K a week purely in semi-private with waiting lists.
Not just 6-7K a week, but in 3 to 4 hours a day as well.
Yeah, I would kind of I pretty much was done by about 10, 11 a.m. max.
Yep.
And I had breaks in there for breakfast and things.
You've told me so many stories where you'd like walk out of the gym and you've got all these other fucking trainers there and they're like, where the fuck is he going? Where the fuck is Mark going again?
It was a constant. They like literally give me shit. But I was there to get in and get out, and then I had other things that I wanted to do with my time. Hence, it was condensed. And you want to fill it, right? This is the thing we want to achieve. So yeah, we want to step out. I'd love to jump into it so we can get this short and sharp.
There's a pen there.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I guess the whole idea of today is to teach you, if you wanted to leverage and go from one-on-one busy, and again, your schedule being all over the place and spread out, how you condense and look at something like semi-private, a leverage model.
Yeah, and what the process is essentially to make that transition to switch from something like one-on-one to semi-private.
Great. We literally have this mapped out when we bring on someone and we're coaching them, and the first thing that we get you to do is we almost rip off the Band-Aid. We want you to communicate, and this is step one. We want to communicate your intention, so see the idea that you're going to be making a change, right? That you're
not necessarily saying exactly what it is, but yeah, like selling the benefits and getting people excited for it, because people are inherently resistant to change.
Yes.
So we want to get them really excited for the fact that they're going to get more access to you, they're going to get more access to more sessions, more support, their own programming, all of this sort of stuff, and get them really, really excited. Because then it makes the whole transition much easier, because you've not got people wanting to stay as one-on-one clients. They're all like excited to go to the new thing.
Yeah, and when you start saying that, what I want you to understand is, like, if you're booked at, if you're booked at 6, 7, 8, and they're your peak times, and you're only seeing one person, all of a sudden that's going to open up another 3 or 4 spots in your peak times. So like, I'm going to be more available in my peak time. So we communicate the idea at a very high level, letting them know there's some really cool stuff coming down the pipeline. I'm so excited to create some time and some systems that are going to give you guys an even better service.
The other thing we do in that stage as well is we set a deadline. because that's the other part, is like, it's really like switching your entire business model is a bit of a project, and it's a bit of work. And because of that, like, people will tend to anticipate that it is work, and they will tend to avoid doing it and delay doing it because it's work. And so what we do at this stage is like you said, rip the Band-Aid off. Oh, there's these.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Need a Band-Aid?
No.
I just ripped one off. Yeah, so we ripped the Band-Aid off, and we set a deadline so that, like, you've publicly communicated this to your clients now. Like, there's no going back.
Yeah, and Parkinson's law, right? Everything happens in the time you allocate. So we say, look, it's about a 3 to 4 week timeline. But from the minute you've got your head around it and you already understand where you're going in the big picture, why you're doing these things, and you literally want to go from 60 hours, roughly, if you're flat out and busy and spread out, to roughly between 18 and 20 max hours, like literally a third. Yeah, that's the busy person doesn't have the time to actually grow something new, a whole new business, something that's going to be an income producing asset.
If your schedule's full, your schedule's full. You can't fill a cup with water if it's already full.
Like, this is what PT is saying. It's more is more is more. No, more is not more. So that's the goal.
Yep.
So
how we communicate that quickly is initially via email, and then with an SMS to tell clients to check their email. So it's pretty simple. We keep it like very basic. It's just the whole purpose is just to get people excited for it.
So we've now communicated to our clients. They know something cool is coming. Mm-hmm. Next step is that we want to start to look at setting your price, right? That means understanding based on your goals, where you want to go. Mm-hmm. We go through a process of kind of auditing. So that would probably be one of the first things.
Yes.
We do an audit of, and it's really fun. Like I say, it's fun. It's great to just know where you're at.
Yeah, take stock of where your business is.
Yeah.
Which clients are paying how much per week, essentially, is what we want to figure out here.
Yeah, and look, one of the things I'll say to you guys is, like, again, there's a lot of silly stuff that PTs do. They might be doing like one-on-one and it's $70 to $80 a session, and then you're doing programming. If you're giving
something
them
an additional or
an app, and you're doing all this extra shit you're not getting paid for. So usually what I look at is you look at it and you go, are they kind of sub, $100?
You are allowed to walk in front of them.
Okay.
Just don't kick it.
Or over $100 on average per client. Now this becomes important for me personally, because if you've got a lot of people under $100, and we're looking at the models.
This is, just to be clear, this is how much they're paying you on an average week.
On an average week.
Based on how many sessions they might do with you. So you might have some clients that only do one. There's coaches that only do one session a week with most of their clients, and then there's coaches that might do 2 or 3, in which case their clients will be up above $100 a week.
Yes.
And then people that are going kind of like less than 1 session a week will be below that. But yeah, just want to clarify.
Yeah.
That is like in a week, essentially, based on the amount of sessions that each client will.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then we will work out, based on either grouping them, like what's the right model, right? And how many times a week are they going to see you? So then obviously the second part is looking at, I guess, your packages and your pricing. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think keeping it really simple is key, not giving too many options. Like, you don't want to do the whole, cool, if you come and see me for 1 session, it's this much per week, or 2 sessions is this much per week, or 3 sessions is this much per week. You want one price, and you want to have so the people that are kind of paying under $100 a week, you want to have what's called premium small group, which is where you might have people, like small groups of like 4 to 6, is that right?
Depending on the gym or the space, usually up to 4, but sometimes, look, I've got guys that are allowed up to 12 in group training spaces. So depends on your facility.
Yeah. So you have like your premium small group, but then you'll have semi-private, which is the higher level. And so the idea is the people that are above $100 a week, they get the higher level thing. They get access to semi-private. And the core difference is that this premium small group is people are essentially just all doing the same program. Whereas the people that are in semi-private all get their own program. Both of them are up to 2 to 3 sessions a week, right?
Yeah, correct.
Which means, like, to clarify that, because that's really important detail, up to so many sessions per week means that they get, say, if it's up to 3 sessions a week, they can show up to 3 sessions over the course of the week. But if they miss a session, or if they don't book a session, or if they don't show up, then they miss a session. You don't do makeups, you don't do refunds, it's on them. Like, if you look at any of the really successful chain gyms like BFT or The Yard or anything like that, they're on a membership subscription, right? And if they don't show up that week, then that's on them. And that's how you need to run things too.
We don't need to sell you guys on subscription. You all want it. You just need to understand how to implement it. Because you know what it's like, makeup sessions and a whole lot of bullshit, and you going on holiday and doing more before. Fucking dog's breakfast. Let's move away from your value being on the session, because it's not.
Yeah. And we've got a whole pricing masterclass as well on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go deeper on pricing and models and what you should and shouldn't do, then you can go to our YouTube channel and find that.
So we set out packages and pricing. One thing I say, and I use this analogy a lot, but like, if you've ever been to somewhere like Mexico and done all-inclusive, I want you to understand, like, this is when you guys get up in your head, but I've done this certification, I've got these skills, and I've got all these things I want to offer people. Decide the value of that, how much time is going to go into your actual offer, and charge accordingly and have a set fee. Either pay in full for an amount of time or a payment plan for that. You don't have to get caught up in, well, you know, Matt, if I'm going to train you, mate, like, the training's this much, and then if I give you a nutrition plan, it's going to be this much, and if I'm doing some mindset coaching, like, what the fuck? Like, no, like a set.
The app's an extra $20 a week.
Yeah. But that's what people do. Oh, and when I go on holiday, it's $150 for training, but I'll just drop it back to 80.
Yeah.
Stop that. It's the same every week, right? Because your value is keeping someone on track over a very long period of time to show up and do the things
That get them the outcome.
that get them the outcome. Correct.
Which is coaching, which is different from training.
Step 2's done.
Yep.
Okay, now we're going to come over here and we're going to start looking at, we've set your packages and your pricing. It all makes absolute sense. It's tangible. It's take all your emotion out of it and just go based on what you want to. By the way, the pricing, I just wanted to say, is going to be pretty similar to what they're actually currently paying. And you're just going to have the kind of more the lower value model or your more premium semi-private model.
That's the key to doing the transition.
The transition then...
Because you figure out what they're currently already paying on average per week, and then you price your semi-private essentially at the same amount as what they're roughly paying per week. You'll have people above 100, you have people below 100. And so you price it roughly, you give them, you've got your two options that are priced based on what they're kind of currently already paying. Then when you do the transition, this is what makes it an absolute no-brainer for people and gets them super excited. You position it to them as they're getting more sessions with you, they're getting more access to you, they're getting more support, but they're paying the same amount. And what that does is gets them really excited because now they get more of you and more help and faster results, but for the same amount that they're already paying. And so that then gets them really excited and the transition becomes very easy.
It becomes a no-brainer. So that is now set. Now what you need to do is set up your systems. So really core systems, Matt, we need a payment system.
Yes, yeah, payment system first because you should have all of your clients on a subscription, which means you need the ability to bill them on a subscription. Stripe's a great option. Newi's a great option. Both are pretty easy to set up. Newi actually works through Stripe. It's just a bit easier to set up and you get a bit more support with their team.
Why would they do that over PaySmart and all these debit systems that they have?
PaySmart and all these other ones, they take fucking ages to set up. They're fuck around. Like,
they also don't integrate very well with things when you get towards online. Yeah.
And like systemization and of the onboarding process and all that. Like, you want to be able to connect and integrate it with things.
Yep.
The other thing as well is that they're not cheap.
No.
Whereas something like Newi or Stripe, pretty affordable. Newi allows you to on-charge the transaction fees to clients as well. And it's just simple.
Super simple to use.
You don't have to go through application fucking processes or anything. Like, you set it up within a day and it's done. Like, yeah. And then the next thing is definitely a training app because you need to, again, if we're coaching clients and teaching them how to fish instead of fishing for them, we need to empower them and help them know what they need to be doing in the gym. If you're sharing your time in sessions, they need to all know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Because if they rock up and they're you've got 3 people now. Oh, what do I do? Oh, how do I squat again? Like, they need to know what they're doing. And the app is how we make sure that they know what they're doing.
The other thing when you're in a flow of semi-private is if there's a quick video that they can actually be watching, right? They can actually watch it. So if you're off and I'm queuing Matt, they can watch the video. And then if they're unsure, they can come back to you, right? Because they might only see you in their with their sessions maybe twice a week, but they might be training 3, 4, 5 times a week. So they need to know how to use the app and to get their answers, right?
Which is another big value add for semi-private, because you're empowering them not just to do the 1 or 2 sessions a week that they're doing with you, but to go themselves and also know what to do in the gym.
And in their sessions, when you're on a 4-on-1, to actually show the fuck up is half the battle for some of them. So we love EverFit. Guys, like around training apps, I say this, look, you just want to choose one. We love EverFit for its functionality, its simplicity. There's all the things that you need to do in an online training app is there.
We make no money from recommending EverFit. It's just literally the best thing that we've found based on our research and our testing.
Yep. Next thing?
Next thing is client agreements.
Yes.
So again, probably something that a lot of people watching haven't got, but absolutely something you need to have if you want to protect yourself from legal action.
Anytime a client's going to cancel, look at things, they go back and they look at their agreement and they go, that's what I agreed to. Guys, one thing I will say is in business, when you're running a business, you build up scar tissue, right? And the more people that do these things, and it's fine if people opt out and whatever. It's like, if you've got a term, it's an initial 4 months to coach with you. It's written in legal agreements. Mm-hmm. That's why
the termination process there is,
And it takes all the stress out because, oh, well, if they leave, they leave. Like, honestly, when you get good at marketing and all of our other stuff can teach about marketing and sales, you never worry about where your next lead's coming from. So you just want the right people that love it. They're going to be part of your culture. They're going to show up.
You want to set the right expectations. You want to be protected legally.
Yeah, the process is there.
Yep. There's a bunch of platforms you can use for that. DocuSign's great. HelloSign's great. Jotform is okay. I don't like the user experience on mobile, but there's plenty of options.
In EverFit, you can actually just plug your agreement straight in.
You can create a form in EverFit and then have a signature field. Yeah, that's also an option. Again, probably not the best option in terms of like user experience for the client actually going through the agreement, understanding the clauses, and then initialing and signing. But something like DocuSign or something that's purpose built is also a great option. There's free options, there's paid options.
Look, the other thing is it's there. It's always there. It's signed. It's easy to use, and you literally just get your agreement.
Agreements are in the same place.
You just load it up and you put their details in. It's done. It's so simple.
Last one.
Scheduling.
Yes, booking.
Now, guys, I do want to cover this. Instead of you always having to get text messages and the client's overnight and you're always on your phone having to adjust things because we don't run a business like that. You set your times of when you're going to work, right? They're set times. The beautiful thing is either people can put their sessions in on a reoccurring, but if they, ideally what we want is every kind of week it's being refreshed and they've got to get in and they've got to book that time. Because this is how, like if my wife goes to the Yard, for example, it's a new gym, and all the availability is there for Monday, Tuesday, and then basically if you don't get in, you miss out. Right, so what it does, it gets people realizing that they've got to jump into your schedule. It's on your times when you want to work. If you want to work
it makes you the authority.
Yeah, 6, 7, and 8, you want to work. There's 4 spaces available. Once they're gone, it's gone, and then they fit into wherever they're going to fit into. Right, so the onus, and that keeps them accountable week to week. Right, we like using Calendly.
Yep,
it's actually improved a lot. So people use things like Acuity and other systems, but it's improved in terms of you running.
User experience again on Calendly is just way simpler, way more intuitive.
One thing about Calendly, it's one system then that you have when you book sales calls. So what it does, it looks at your calendar and you'll have your sessions and then that'll block that out in your diary.
Yeah, so it cross-references for clashes.
Yeah, so if you want to have lunch at 1 and put that in and then you don't get
booked. And then people won't get booked in.
Right, and then you can have sales calls, anything else around that because that link.
You can set all your availability in there as well. So it literally automates that whole process. And then you don't have to manually fucking book people in, which again is like something so simple and so dumb that people waste so much fucking time on.
Yeah.
Like, don't stop scheduling people manually.
Yes.
It's done.
No, you shouldn't have to do that. Okay, so systems are now set up. Now the next thing is we want to onboard people into your new offer. So 2 things. We have to look at your session schedule. So this is when people are going to book in. Now, essentially, it's relatively simple. One thing I would say is if you're going to do semi-private energy-wise, 2 hours with 3 to 4 people, you want to have a little buffer, right? Like they talk a lot about productivity. 2-hour work blocks, you typically want a half an hour break.
Periodization.
Yeah, for your day, right? So I used to do, I was a bit extreme. I would do 6, 7, and 8. Then I would have a break. It was hectic. I was pretty cooked. I needed coffee. I needed to eat afterwards. And then I came back for one more session, and then I was done in the day. So that's how I got 6, 7, 8.
And you're seeing essentially 12 clients in that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was seeing 12 clients. And so what I did is I had 6, 7, 8, and the crew that came in on Mondays and Wednesdays were the same. So they did 2 a week with me. And on Tuesday and Thursday, I had a whole nother group. So I had 8 groups of semi-private running.
With 3 to 4 in each.
Yeah, with 4 and waiting lists. So I actually had people that would jump in just whenever someone wasn't coming. Literally was overbooked.
Yep.
And then I ended up having to farm those off to trainers and etc. So you work the hours that you want to work. It's a beautiful thing.
You decide when you want to do it. But put the blocks in your calendar so that you know when you're doing them. And then that way you set it up in Calendly again so that clients can book only in those blocks.
Yes. And look, I think we've gone into timing and time blocks. We probably need to do a whole nother module on thinking about how you optimize your day and your schedule based on your energies and your rhythm. What works for you. Some people like Matt's a night person. I've kind of semi-converted him to a morning person.
Oh, I'm definitely a morning person now.
Being a PT, I think most people are a morning person, or you become one because that's when everyone wants to train, in the morning. So flow?
Yeah, that's how do you run a session?
Right.
With 3 or 4 people sharing your time, how do you run a session?
This is one thing. Look, when you want people to get used to it. So what I did is I would have, let's say I had my 6 o'clock group. Now, obviously this goes back to your programming, right? We have a little bit of an active kind of warm up that was part of the programming. I had either things that they had in their app around where they need to mobilize something or warm something up. This comes back to your skill set, but I would have them do that, and I'd have them do that in the 10 minutes before the session so that they were warming up, so they were ready to go come the start of the hour.
That's all 4 clients.
Correct.
Autonomously without you.
Yeah, they had to come in and do their warm-up process. So there was a little bit of active warm-up and there was a little bit of if they need to mobilize something. And then I start on the hour. If they didn't, guess what? You're doing that. You've got to do your warm-up, you've got to start, right? Then obviously you've got your sessions. Now you need to work around obviously the space, the equipment. You've got to be smart around how you program. This is the thing you got to think of, right? You don't want necessarily people on other sides of the gym. So you do want to think about kind of
keeping everybody close enough together that you can keep your eye on them.
Yes, which comes back to how many times a week is someone training with you? If they're doing full body and 2 to 3 times a week and maybe newer versus someone who's training 4 to 5 times a week and maybe doing upper lower splits. So be smart around how you program. The other thing is, even though we could have different programs, Matt and I could be both doing upper body, you could also get them working closely with each other, right? So that you know your own weights, but you might be supersetting and things. So they've still got an individualized program, but you just got to be smart around how you use your space. So they go through their lifts. Look, I think this all comes back to programming. I'm not going to give you a 101, but look, I did used to run an education facility, talk about rehab and S&C, and our own gym. So I understand the flows. This is obviously going to be...
This is where you either need to be really smart and like if you've already invested in your skill set and you understand how to do programming and, programming multiple people at once, like then you will kind of get it. But if you haven't got that skill set, then it's something you need to probably work on building.
Yeah, but look, the simplification of it is their training is in their app. So they know what to do. They just need to know how to come to ask the questions of you so that you can coach them.
This is why we said at the start as well, like this is not something a beginner would want to do. It's somebody who's already been working with clients for a year plus, 2 years at least. So because they get a feel and they build the skill set of like how you actually train clients, how you program them, being smart about what things you do with them.
These are the things that they already know as trainers. But if someone's a little bit more new, obviously you want to, they're not going to be lifting as heavy. So you want to be across like their technique when they're warming up in their sets so they get to a working weight and you know what they're using. Versus someone who's a lot more advanced, I'm going to want to come and see you when we start getting towards peak sets. And I'm going to make sure that you're on point with your technique. That's more my role, is floating and making sure that they're working to the level they need to. At the end, when I would finish the session, we obviously have our little chat, our little debrief, and then I've got the guys 15 minutes before the next session doing their warm-up. So I have this like fluid, right, we're wrapping up now, they know what they're doing. If they're still finishing off or they're doing their conditioning or whatever they're doing at the end, Go for it, right? I'm like, Matt, I'm fucking watching you, dude. You know you got 6 efforts. I'm watching you. Do not leave early, right? Whatever you got to do to motivate them, you know what I'm talking about. So it kind of naturally transitions to the next step, and people are around. We're having a bit of banter, and the 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. crews are, having a chat. So it's that cool thing of community. But as I said, it's about understanding your programming and your environment. And I say this even if I'm coaching guys that run, group fitness studios. You guys don't have the control typically in a gym over the environment, so you've got to make your programming fit, your space in your area. But you can do a lot in a space of a car space. Seriously, guys, I think you need to think smart. I think that's a common thing that people say.
Before you sit down, a couple of things I did want to touch on for the onboarding, because understanding the session schedule and flow is one thing. The other thing is you actually need to have that final little conversation with clients to get them set up and onto the app and understand how it's all going to work. So when you so you've set your runway, you've set your deadline, you know what your date is for when everybody's switching over. By that date, you're going to have conversations with clients in sessions and that sort of thing, so that you can communicate to them how it's all going to work, what's actually changing, how things are going to happen, and then also get them on board with the app so that you can literally sit there with them, download it on their phone, show them how it all works so that they understand it and they're ready to go by the time that you've set that deadline. Because there's nothing worse than clients being lost and not knowing what the fuck's going on. So you need to be really good with your communication, and you need to make things very clear for them.
Yeah, and I think this is something that we checklist out, and we make sure that you're communicating. Your onboarding is where it's the chunk of your time. You said you're wanting to get people set up, but you're also coordinating schedules and letting people know like your availabilities, and it's first in, best dressed.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to say as well, it's a project. Like the week that you onboard your clients, it's probably going to be a week to 2 weeks. It will be a lot of work. There will be very intense weeks, and you're probably going to make mistakes and fuck some things up. Expect it and be okay with it. Don't fucking throw the baby out with the bathwater when that happens. Just know that that's going to come, and it's something you need to work around when it does happen.
You've just got to have absolute belief in what you're doing. And one thing, I think of people like Mary, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in, oh my God, people are loving it. They're loving it. Like, this is the thing about your energy. This is the necessary part in order for you to get your first steps right. Your time, guys, is so valuable. Value it very, very highly. Remember that you are now moving to be an advisor and a consultant with these people, and you're going to empower them. It's my favorite model. There's a reason why Louis Simmons, the godfather of powerlifting, would get people to train in threes. You had the strongest person, they always want to be the strongest. You had the weakest person, they don't want to be the weakest. And the person in the middle chasing the strongest, and they work harder in that setting. So you want to create the culture that you want to create. I said I used to have a lot of banter, a lot of fun. And the cool thing is I've actually still got a group that are in the city, and I stopped personal training in 2016. That still train together. That's 9 years later.
That's cool.
4 of them. And they invite me out for a Christmas brekkie.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool.
That's awesome. That's culture.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for joining us. Hopefully that was helpful for you. There's a lot that went into that. If you want to go deeper in stuff like pricing and your model, there is a lot of other videos on our YouTube channel that'll kind of take you deeper into some of those things, into things like your systems, how you communicate things, your pricing. So jump in the YouTube channel, go and find those. I'm sure you'll find something that will be helpful. Until next time, we will see you very soon. Take care.